The prompt was the spring.
Sorry.
Thank you, Zoom lady. Oh, I gotta click the thing. So yeah, the prompt for this was the strangest St. Patrick's Day on record. So it's about 6 weeks late, but who cares? It's called The Record. Gather round, boys and girls, said Mr. Owens as he sat on the chair at the back of the classroom, and I'll tell you all about the strangest St. Patrick's Day on record. The children, many of whom were wearing green shirts or buttons reading, "Kiss me, I am Irish," got up from their desks and made a circle on the floor in front of their teacher. They were generally too young to understand what St. Patrick's Day was all about. Some of them had a vague image of an old man in medieval Ireland, bashing snakes with his cane and driving them all out of the country. Others knew something was going on with their parents, who tended to leave them with sitters and then go out and not come home until very, very late. The following mornings tended to come with strange smells from the bathroom, usually a mix of mommy and daddy drinks with barf. The kids didn't know what that was about, they just accepted it. Now, you probably know, said Mr. Owens, leaning back in the chair, that we have no idea what St. Patrick's Day celebrations sounded like before the 1870s. That's because sound recording and playback was not invented until 1877, and even then, it was a scratchy sound, like that on the soundtrack we're hearing. It was a scratchy sound that nobody wanted to listen to. A long way from Beyonce, eh, kids? None of the class laughed or even reacted in any way. Mr. Owens cleared his throat and went on. The first St. Patrick's Day ever to be recorded was in 1885, here in Canada, when Alexander Graham Bell took his recently patented graphophone out onto the streets of Halifax during a rowdy St. Patrick's Day evening. You can find it on the internet if you look for it. It's a very faint, scratchy recording, but if you listen carefully, you can make out the sounds of drunken revelers shouting in very bad fake Irish accents, as well as Irish songs and some vomiting here and there. Not very different from the St. Patrick's Day partying we have now, as you'll see when you get older. As the years went by, sound recording became clearer and more advanced, and the recordings of St. Patrick's Day occurrences became easier to understand. But they were almost always the same, just the sounds of people talking in fake Irish accents and shouting and dancing and getting drunk. There was no novelty about them. You could go out on the street on your own on St. Patrick's Day and hear the exact same thing. Until, and Mr. Owens raised his index finger in a dramatic way that made the children perk up. He paused for several seconds and then added, until 1937, when a recording surfaced from Toledo, Ohio, that subverted all expectations and changed the way that the world imagined a St. Patrick's Day celebration could sound like. Mr. Owens paused again, and then he reached up to a high shelf and pulled down a flat 30-centimeter square paper package. Inside the paper was an object that few of the children had seen before, at least outside of old movies or TV. It was a flat, round, black object with a logo in the center and a small hole in the middle of the logo area. "This is a vinyl record," said the teacher. "I'm going to play this on an old device called a turntable or record player so you can hear the strangest St. Patrick's Day on record." Mr. Owens turned around to reveal the device behind him, a kind of old-fashioned stereo system, and he placed the record on a spinning platform. Then he placed a long stick-like object onto the revolving disc and moved a knob marked volume. The class heard some scratchy noises, and then an announcer's voice piped through the speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen," the voice said, "Old Lady Marion Gord's Margarine presents the strangest St. Patrick's Day on record. This was recorded in Toledo, Ohio, 20 years ago." There was a long moment of silence, except for the scratchy noises in the background. Then a faint marching sound could be heard, and it became louder. And then it suddenly stopped, and a weird shrieking voice cried out, "Hey, Mountain Forks! It's washcloth time again!" The class stared at the record player in puzzlement as a wave of applause sounded from the speakers, and another loud voice, a woman's, screeched, "Like a gin-soaked rocket in a turtle marsh! Yippee!" This was followed by a wave of laughter from a crowd, not unlike a TV laugh track, and the recording launched into an explosion of hyperspeed Dixieland music with unmistakable noises of gunshots sprinkled in, and another voice scattered along to the Dixieland music. "Yippa-dabba zing-zong, figgy-wiggy shrank, dooba-doo, but a 1 and a 5 and a lig-a-lig-a-fong, wuppa-doo-da, shinga-shinga-fwee," the voice sang. Unga bee, unga bo, unga kaye, lovey. I once had a girlie and I had her stuffy. Oh, honey, give me a crop. The music faded away, and the gunshot noises became louder and more frequent. And then these noises faded into what appeared to be a group of cows mooing in unison to the tune of the Annette Henshaw number, Would You Like to Take a Walk? The cow song was interrupted by a sudden crash of what sounded like dishes being tossed down a flight of stairs, which was followed by a tiny little voice that squeaked, "Ha ha, you woke my little queen pork!" Then there was more laughter, which was interrupted by some terrified screaming, which was interrupted by even more laughter, and then the laughter faded into the sound of a ticking clock, which was soon accompanied by the voice of a man with a thick Bulgarian accent reciting Mark Antony's Havoc soliloquy from Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. The recital was followed by a smattering of polite applause, which morphed into an explosion of screaming, car collisions, sirens, thunder, collapsing buildings, howling wolves, and other chaotic noises. This went on for about 25 seconds. It was followed by a 10-second dead silence, and then a low voice said, "Let's go get some shawarma." Then the original announcer came back on and said, "This record was sponsored by Old Lady Marian Gord's margarine. Old Lady Marian Gord produces her margarine only from the sweetest and finest ingredients, such as..." Mr. Owens shut off the record player. And that, he told the class, was the strangest St. Patrick's Day on record. The class stared at him in utter bafflement. "Any questions?" the teacher added. After a moment's hesitation, literally every child in the class put his or her hand up. "Yes, Vicky," said Mr. Owens. "Mr. C," said Vicky, who sat near the front of the group. "What the hell is going on there?" "Nobody knows for sure, Vicky," said Mr. Owens. "Sound recording is the only documentation we have. There are plenty of theories, though." "Like what?" asked Tommy near the back. Mr. Owens shrugged. "Well, some suggest that Nazi Germany had secretly spiked the drinking water in Toledo with hallucinogens, which made everybody in the city go crazy that night. Some say that the recording is mistakenly being played backwards and makes a lot more sense when played the other way. And many others, especially on the internet, say the recording is a hoax. There are those who say it's just a collage of random noises thrown together by some dope fiend with too much time on his hands, while others say it's a collection of audio clips from Robert Clampett's cartoons. But nobody really knows for sure. The class was silent. Then Holly, a shy girl in the corner, stuck her hand up. Her hand was shaking, and she was staring at the floor. "Yes, Holly." "Mr. Owens," said Holly, still staring at the floor, "that recording triggered me." "It what?" "It triggered me. I'm feeling traumatized and unsafe from those sounds. I'm going to tell my parents, and they're going to get you fired." Mr. Owens just stared at the girl. "Oh, shut up," he said. That was the strain. That was called the record.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you. All right. We're moving on. Because it's just then, we'll give her another space and we'll go to Michael now. Michael Sindler.
Well, Mayor showed up.
Yeah, but I'll give it a minute to come in because she's just
Okay. That sounds like a fair deal. Let me see then. I will start with this one. It's called Epitome. What comes after the epitome? Is that when you get rid of me? Moment staged is strategic retreat, softened, savage exposition of defeat. What comes before the inception? Does time exist beyond perception? How to build on what is not constructed? Could a dream undreamed be abducted? What space lies beneath the nadir? Is depression deeper than a crater? Spirit tumbling from sky to sea for lack of you and too much of me. And this one is about a very precious, precious being. It's called Claim Me, Tame Me. You've almost surely passed. You would be almost 20 now, ancient for a feline, but maybe not. You are still to me that proud kitten who walked up the hill with your sister and made me yours, claimed me, tamed me, pulled me out of hurt with constant purr nestling or following on slow hikes with Sham, watching us coughing by side of the road, footstep close, keeping me safe, ever vigilant. And when we moved away one mountain over, you adapted better than me, even without your sister. Then the long journey to Poughkeepsie, where I left you with a woman I did not love, but knew loved you as an extension of me. As I flung myself on westward, away and toward and torn, sure I would not see you again, and I was right. 20 years is nothing. You are my sweet kitten forever, walking up in dreams, claiming me, taming me. And I'll end with this one. It's called No Less Real. It's a Tonka. They say in the end, all is dust and DNA, swept or blown away. No less real a form than ours. Everything's distilled from stars. Thank you all very much.
Great, Michael. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. For those of you just then, there'll be a lot less speaking from me tonight because it's a struggle. We're just going to announce the next person and get on with it. Thank you. Next up, Mehir. Since you're here, you can go now. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, I was a bit late. I was just trying to tune in and having some problems with the internet. So I'll start with a poem called Pre-Monsoon Showers. When it's very hot, as it is right now, and you suddenly have a shower, it really changes the whole feeling, and the earth itself celebrates. Thirsty earth gulps early showers, sucking rain into dry bowels, releasing musky mud aromas to mingle with flower fragrances, a blend to challenge Dior. Heat retreats as aureole streaks gold against green, chirps twitters melodies, trees sway to rhythmic breeze, squirrels prance branch to branch in nature's celebratory dance. Relieved of year-long dust, green brightens on trees. Tiny baby mangoes lose tenuous grips on dangling twigs, leaving littered green dots. Flowers droop, raindrop wait, but a sole raindrop clings to leaf edge. Bird perch on twig, sends it racing to merge with mud. Rain stops. Skin awakes to crisp air on cheeks the morning after it rains. The next one is a lighter one. It's called Circle of Life. Dead bits of me will grow with the tree when the nails I chop drop into its spot. Dead trees, born again as the bed I sleep on, the chair I sit on, the table I write on. Chiseling thoughts into words, floating dreams. And the next one is something I wrote for this year on Women's Day when there was an event. It's called How Long? How long will you withstand war, women of Ukraine? How long must you keep rebelling against tyrants, women of Iran? How long must you witness shootings at your doorstep, women of America? How long can you keep sane through war? Quiet fire is women's breath of survival. Fire tenderizes meat, toughens steel, purifies gold. Fire from the heart of Earth's soul shapes tough, tender women. Aware there is no birth without pain, time being the equalizer between loss and gain. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Meher. Thank you very much indeed. All right, it's time for our very first Blot debutante of the night. And been away for a while, will you please welcome and welcome back to the scene, Matthew Nicholson.
Everybody, can you hear me okay? Right, I've got two new pieces to share with you, both pretty short. I don't know what kind of trigger warnings to give it. Really, it's just a case of I'm going through quite a lot at the minute, so that things will become apparent. But overall, it's just a case of being a man and trying to open up and share emotions and feelings about what's going on. So the first one is saving sanity through self-diagnosis. Life felt so damn confusing, though it's starting to make sense. It's now my third day without using, catching glimpses of my old true self. I'm learning to forgive because I've wrongly blamed before, convinced that everybody hated me, exhausted, couldn't take no more. Suffering in solitude, struggling to make a sound, a creative brain filled with ideas that never make it off the ground. Still haunted by the memories of trauma from the past. It's only taken me 42 years, but I'm working on myself at last. I've been blindfolded in the wilderness without the skills to hunt. I knew I wasn't stupid or some useless, lazy cunt. Cluttered and chaotic, I'm prone to overthink. Reckless and impulsive, addiction took me to the brink, where I've sought solace in suicide, but I didn't want to die, banging head on walls for decades because I've been living a lie. All the pointless people pleasing, desperately trying to fit in, without knowing the rules of the game of life, which was rigged so I could never win. There's a fire in my belly, and I'm going to keep it lit. Setting boundaries, burning bridges. I no longer give a shit. Thank you. Second piece hasn't got a title. Again, it's kind of touching on addiction. When the fun stops, stop, or so the friendly slogan goes. A poisoned chalice crock of shit to anyone who knows about the issues of addiction, which a problem gambler faces. The warm welcome of those flashing lights and tons of daily races. In-play betting terminals and a chance to be a hero. Predicting sporting outcomes, but all roads lead back to zero. And if the shit should hit the fan as it was always going to, at 8 AM, you can start again chasing losses like you do. Compulsive gambling is a problem when it's nearing 10 PM, when you got £3 in your pocket to last till fuck knows when. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you. Great words. Thank you. Okay, Alexandra.
Do you mean me? Yes.
No, sorry, not Alexandra, Alexandra.
It's not me, is it?
Yes.
Is
You're both in the screen next to me as well, so it's getting confusing. Yes.
Okay.
We're going to Greece, not Norway.
Are you sharing the screen in a different way? Okay. Finn, I think you're sharing the screen a different way, which means you can't see the slides going by now, can you?
I can see your screen, yeah.
Yeah, but you can't see the graphics going by, right?
No,
Are
yeah.
you moving them?
Yeah, I'm moving them.
Oh, no, we're only seeing the.
Yeah, because you're sharing the screen in a different way. Okay, so I'll keep it small then, the slide.
Still
Keep up
just
with that.
seeing.
You
There
can
we
see-
go.
That's it now.
Yeah, that looks fine.
yeah. Okay. Keep up with that turquoise lover, so full of love and kindness. Before doubt compromises every fleshed out interaction. Keeping viable, honey sweetened utopias. Thinking in a black swamp of remorse. Leeches of greed sucking on lust and shame. Enduring through our biggest mistakes. Emerging into our new biggest improvements. Into new consummations of refined affection. Earth blooming with polychroming, cultivating virtues. Olive branch rights turquoising all plentiful harvests. Keep up with that cleansing, so salving for each wound. Before pus infests every vital feeling and thought. Keeping soft every hardened organ. Our hearts tormented by dark red memories. Collapsing at the gates of our own perdition. Crawling through our narrow bloodied trenches. Discovering new veins of replenishment. New streams of purification. Untainted rivers gushing ahead boundlessly. Blue-crested sky showers cleansing all defilement. Keep up with that life so deeply longed for. Before it kneels at the precipice of its own abyss. Keeping zoetic every favorable breeze. Burning in the eternal chaos of our own unquenchable inferno. Aspirations melting, courage faltering. Glowing through our own embers. Bursting into new, cleaner flames of rejuvenation. Singing new songs, continuing beyond mortal existence. Clear, transcendent winds, blowing reinforcingly to the ends of the vast earth. Mastery of life, surpassing all adversities. Keep up with that oracle, so devotedly worshipped. Before it fades at the end of the nebulous sky. Keeping alight the torch of insight. Our philosophies crucified by false innocence. Hiding behind false gods. Thrusting through ugly, thorny dogmas. Taming new wild wisdoms. New unchained channels of magnificent revelations. Lightning-eyed eagles ceaselessly circling. Oracles' rays resurrecting all spiritual forces. Hurry, keep up with those flights, so brave and so free. Before they explode in the anguish of the universe. Keeping high the grace of this sky blue sphere. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful as always. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, we travel again. Going from Greece, Singapore. Neil.
Thank you, Finn. I hope everyone can hear me loud and clear. I'm taking that as a yes. So like everyone else, April was a month of responding to prompts and the Singapore Singpo Remo just ended 30th of April. So I'm going to share some short poems from there. So this is the first. This was meant to be in response to a famous poem. So, Dear William, thanks for your scrawl. You hit all the right notes. This will probably outlive both of us. I'm sure you thought that was sweet of you. So please forgive my tartness of tone. I just came across your scribble on foolscap, which had floated to the floor and lay upside down beneath the kitchen table. It is now 4 p.m, and the plums were meant, no, not for breakfast. For the cobbler I was planning to serve for dessert tonight. Our guests are due at 6. I'm sure that someday, soon, somebody somewhere will invent a fridge magnet, which will hold up such aides memoir and such like, or maybe even magnets with words and letters on them that you can use for writing poems, plastering them all over the refrigerator for posterity. But for now, if you know what's good for you, you'll get your sorry ass over to the grocery store and buy me a bag full of plums, Victorian, or you shall have no pie. Just saying. So I have to tell you which one that was, but 1,000 pardons for what was a very borderline cheeky, irreverent poem in response to this, just to say Carlos William, who I'm sure for most of us is a favorite poet, certainly for me. On to the next one, which was again a response to another poet, a poem written by another poet, and this was written to Jane Lynn Dupingjay, who is a migrant worker in Singapore. We may not have time to read her poem, but it's about homecoming. It's called We'll Be Back. Most movement is merely muscle memory. The fulcrum of your feet step to shore-footed strides, padding through paddy fields, lush locomotion. Hurry slowly. The grasshopper who greets you did not star in The Last Emperor. In his hop, there is hope, rejoicing your return to these terraced lands, the dual seasons of hot and hotter. Warm your now city dweller feet. The sun plays peekaboo, as it has always done. For all the years you've been absent, the guava tree will not reproach you. Her branches readied in embrace. The dew from your eyes matches the damp on the ground. It is okay to cry. You're back. Home and dry. The germ of your next chapter hiding in the green grass, which you now touch tentatively, much as you might dip your toe into a river that has changed. But then, so have you. And the next short one. There were 2 which were in response to dancing themes. And for somebody who has 2 left feet, that was a bit of a challenge. So the first of those. Must these words have hum? Will you decline to dance if you can't hear their tune? Did you pay the piper? Will you make the first move? Does each move make its own music? Are our bodies just instruments? We play all our lives, the wind in our breath, the drum of our heart, the voice in our head. What about the dance in our soul that unfolds to music, as well as to the silence within? Do you hear the song to my dance? Will you lean into its pulse? Can't we just be dust dots dancing in the sunbeam? Just for once, can we lose the words? So that one is titled, Can We Lose the Words? And the last of my quartet, if I can bring it up, is called, it was the second dance theme, it's called Shadow Dancing. In that place where light meets dark, where smiles and eyes did frequent, broken vows now dance like shadows, where pledges made were never meant, speed skaters glide across the pond, leaving shadow furrows in their wake, whilst you and I must dance beyond if what we did was right or wrong.
And he's frozen just at the end. Okay. I hope it was just at the end anyway. Thank you. Thank you, Neil. Wherever you are now, thank you. Okay, speaking of travelers, somebody's been traveling a bit recently. Naima.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Okay, 2 poems. Sorry, let me do. I'm so disorganized. Yeah, sorry. There we are. First poem. Okay. Unstill waters. I love you. There, I said it. If only to myself, on the mind shelf. Feelings without merit. I do not seek it, but still it is found. Severed of sound, we do not speak it. You have immunized yourself against such things, the vulnerability it brings. Once I was immune myself. Your actions betray your silence. Love and care coat each interaction, involuntarily spilling gagged emotion, affection's natural parlance. It benefits neither to hear it. What are words without conduct? Dramatic declarations without love. Surely it is better to have felt it. The words of ardor that slip, perhaps a writer's creation or an expression of the heart, the uncontainable expression of a creative heart. Nevertheless, the wordless wall shifts, releasing tenderness like monarch butterflies, fluttering palpitations, golden winged oscillations, Tenjugo random motion, dazzling the eye. I love you, aphasic and unavowed. I've heard it and not felt it. We walk silently on the clouds until the clouds are broken and we descend like hail, icily splatter and impale to echoes of words unspoken. Thank you. And the second piece, Off the Track with Kerouac. Weary winged in a freight train carriage with Jack, shooting the breeze about nothing in particular, Americana scenes, real serenely past, tumbleweed, drifting where the wind takes us, pondering on puff through handmade filters, rocked by the jolting pulse of disappearing tracks, sticking it to the man, cutting loose from the plan, our taut tongues poking holes in their fool's gold, faster and faster down the track, fighting the urge to look back, marinating, nothing behind us and nothing to unpack, Huckleberry and Sawyer sailing away from the fold, landscapes altered, yet the memo still holds. We are the disconnected and rootless, knocking back bottled margaritas and rolling, catching connections with a gallery of lives, seeding the shackles the boss man provides, done with their wars and fork-tongued extolling, uprooted by the suited and ruthless, hitting the road with Jack, Screw picking up the slack, carried for scores and scores. We won't be back no more. Rolling under the stars where the moss cannot catch us, watched by gnarly junipers fighting the vengeful elements, the crackling campfire sparks who dance with the fireflies, toasting schmores, the flames shimmying in your eyes, our mauled minerals settling with the earth's sediment, savage spirits latching on to Mother Nature's breast. On the road to nowhere, we must visit one day where their schemes will be played out and currency finds no hands to spend. as the earth chokes on their butt ends, our voices to bury, to shout. But for now, Roman candles burning with hopeful bouquet. Thank you.
Thank you, Naima, thank you. This is making me feel so much better tonight, everyone, thank you. Because, right, Suzanne, you're up now. You're still muted. You're still muted.
Okay,
Yeah.
seems okay now. Oh, right. A way of dying. I watched you die, Jackson, the falling away of hair, voice, control, witnessing every part and function of your body slip away, and your thriving gift store, Polk Street happening place, passing on to other hands. You watching, crying, watching, crying, then always letting go. The cavernous wound in your neck, oozing infection, and you learning to swallow in a different way. Your movement slower, more deliberate, in response to the pain and the wasting away, and you learning to live in a different way, a way of dying. Your dying taught me about living. The ease in my joints, clarity of vision, fluidity of speech are sacred gifts to savor, and they are on loan. You died in dignity with gaping sores, hairless, skin and bones, dark circles, speechless, fingers with only microscopic gestures. You emanated a light that brought me to my knees in the presence of such grace. And here's one more short one. Faces, every face the divine. Every day, 100 times, we miss our chance. Eyes cast downward. We shuffle along the sidewalk as if we are alone, alone on this crowded street of angels. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Well, Bilal was supposed to be here, but he's still actually waiting to get the lights to come on in Pakistan. So he'll be along after. So what I'm going to do, I wasn't going to read, but I'm going to try tonight. I was going to go today to Kate Jenkinson's Zoom this afternoon. Obviously I couldn't try it, but I'm going to try and do the 2 poems I wrote for going there. And as you know, it's a neurodiversity afternoon. This is for a couple of prompts. There's no names, just 2 poems. I'm like a snake that's eating its tail and a dog that's chasing his, a wheel, a piece of twine on a never-ending roll, a decision I should make and wonder if I made it. Did I think that? Why did I think that? My thoughts, endless, pointless, so loud in its silence. A quiet cyclone moving through my life, constant, echoing. Do you hear me? Did I really say that? Or just think it? And another. Join the dots, colour by numbers, cut and paste. Are there any original ideas out there? High street fashion, generic tunes, such a waste. Does anybody really care? Move along now. No loitering allowed. Please make haste. Please, does nobody stop and smell the flowers? Instant coffee, ready meals, everything fast paced. What are you going to do with all these extra hours? Yeah, I managed to get through that. Thank you. All right. Let's go over to Lantern Carrier, sir.
Thank you, Finn. Right, let's go. Adorned with the robes of solitude. My task was to be the bearer of the burden that you gave me, and I bore it like the night does my shadow, concealing it from the sun. The truth of my helplessness left many scars, and loneliness pierced my heart like one lying on beds of nails. My soul called for a river of herbs to heal my sorrows. Silence was a dark night without the shining armor, only the spear of adversity to torment my bleeding wounds. I died daily, lost in the pit of self-made remorse, feasting on liquor to drown my fears. Still, I rose. For even as darkness faded and the light of dawn awoke, so too my beloved came, carrying the sweet scent of lavenders. I was lifted from the gorge of delusions and adorned with the robes of solitude, merging on the effulgent lap of supernal joy. That was poem 1. Poem 2, Shinani and Ramona. They were a perfect match, they were. She a lover of life, and he a romantic of the first order. They often walked within the orchard, kissed among the lilies in the extended grove. Each smile touched an inner beauty, each hug without thoughts of a tomorrow. Theirs was just the pinnacle of happiness. When the summer came, they walked along the shoreline, sang melodiously with the larks, swung from the hammocks within the pines and branches of the holiday retreat. Life was wonderful, they felt, as they both inhaled the breath of daffodils, the foliage of nature's grandeur. And then the shadows came. Shinani found himself perturbed by the turbulence of his wife's emotions as she went through the long hours of painful surgery. Body altered, image and self-esteem endangered, Ramona held the hands of her husband as the drip solution ran through her now fragile frame. Shinani wept. No more romantic interludes in Ibiza, no more tender caresses with hands of lavender or rosemary of the most precious kind. The wafts of the petunias were now distant, the song of the orchid silent to his heart. Only his wife mattered, only the troubled beat of a once radiant heart talking to his soul. With his last ounce of will, Shinani lifted his spirit and offered it to God. The shimmering glow that followed hovered above Ramona like a row of radiant lamps. She felt a powerful surge of love releasing her from pain and enveloping her entire being. Stars twinkled above her forehead as colorful auras sparkled, danced with a beautiful soul. With a happy heart, Ramona opened her eyes, gave a radiant smile to her husband, now looking deep into her eyes. His prayers were answered. With great dignity and the face of dazzling beauty, Ramona sat up in bed and said, "Let us go home, my husband. Let us go home." It was Christmas time, and the snowflakes were falling as they walked out of the hospital. Heaven cascaded roses, and Shinani's tears sang poignantly upon the wind. Way down the river, where I saw my secret one, It was way down the river that I saw my secret one. She gave fragrances to roses, wrote beauty on the dawn. She gave fragrances to roses, got blessings from the moon. Lantern Carrier, thank you.
Oh, lovely, sir. Thank you. Wow. Okay, we're going to the exotic with us now, Richard Harris.
Hello, everyone. I've got, first of all, a very tiny poem, only 4 words, and really it's for Finn, because I thought he'd like it. It's called Monarchy. Useless, wasteful, purposeless, parasitic. And I thought that might be all right for Finn. Then I have regression. So thieves and murderers competed, and those who were most immoral and ruthless won, seized power, land, control, and riches, and the most vile became royal. Their sycophantic followers, who had not quite the nerve to kill and steal as often as they, became the aristocracy and made sure the ordinary folk were poor, were serfs and slaves. They dined richly while the workers starved. They received medical care while the poor died. They built churches and cathedrals to the glory of God, thinking that they were buying their place in heaven. Of course, they could have helped the poor, but they let them starve. They could have built hospitals, but didn't. My goodness, this all sounds familiar. So it's not Victorian life we are regressing to. It's medieval existence for our grandkids. The Eton boot boys, headed by the Crown, drain vast wealth and ensure poverty thrives. We do not learn from history, and life in the UK is regressing fast. And then Nick's thing at the beginning about records just reminded me of this one, and I quite like this, so I thought I would do it. Heritage and Change. Ethel Waters in 1928 sang her blues, her own blues. She recorded them, and her records were sold on Breakable 78. Today I played her singing. I listened. Her voice came clear and strong, singing still from her soul digitally from the CD player in my car. It had great clarity and it came from that time so long ago. I can now digitally download her as a product. How much change there has been. She would be startled to know that we can hear her like this. When she recorded Am I Blue, cars were rare, computers and downloads would be science fiction and futurism. And yet, while so much changes, so much stays the same. This Christmas, my granddaughters played with a robotic dog with a chip inside it, able to do so much, and on a tablet, engaged in amazing games, full of action and so technical, but then turned and played like the children of Ethel's time, with cardboard boxes and wrapping paper. Teddy bears and Alice in Wonderland dolls, yo-yos were there still. Bewildering change amidst the enduring, unchanging heritage of traditional child's play that we love so very much. And it was just amazing, the contrast. And I actually was writing 2 poems and I realised they joined up. And then just briefly, I have a sort of adopted son, and he adopted us, which is very strange because his parents live around the corner, he sees them every day. And he's quite a Jackma lad. And he challenged me to write on this subject and said I couldn't do it and make it performable. That was a silly thing to say to me, wasn't it? So this is Darren's Condoms, and the lad is called Darren, you see. And the first half of it is more or less true, and then I fictionalise it. Now, Darren was a likely lad who had no wish to become a dad. So he bought a supply of condoms so fine, and he did take a very nice young lady to dine. He had some naughty plans for her, but everything went wrong. So she need have no fear, because Darren was the sort of lad who was disorganised, drove folk mad. He was not good at keeping good time, and he lost so much stuff it was a crime. He kept putting things in the wrong place, and it really was ace when instead of putting condoms in his pocket, he put in there an electric socket. He had been working on a house, mine, and it was a very surprised mouse that on creeping under the floor found a supply like a condom store lying in its way. It did not know what they were, I have to say, and had a chew and did that rue, because condoms do not taste nice, and he did not bite them twice. Darren had not bought the flavoured ones. The mouse would have rather found some chocolate buns. When Darren realised his mistake, he had to think quick and fake a lack of interest in the girl, which was difficult because her fair hair did curl in a most delightful way, and he did feel randy, I have to say. He surprised her when he walked her to her home. Then he had to control his desires and emotions, which did roam. He never found his condom supply, but next day was able to buy another supply of those items so great, but maybe to lose them again was his fate. I don't know the end of the story, but he should start to think and stop being so horny. And it was, I've captured Darren. I mean, you don't know him, but you can imagine him, and it just is typical. So it's just a bit of daftness to end with. Anyway, thank you for that. And I warned him I was going to do it tonight. Yes.
You should know better than challenge a poet to do something, man. You should know better than
But he
that.
said you can't write a poem about condoms that's performable. And I thought, well, yeah, I can.
There's no such thing as can't, is there? No such thing as. Okay, let me check if he's got light yet. No. Still waiting for Bilal. So, okay. Welcome now. Welcome back to Dan.
Good evening from Bucharest. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's an honor to be here with all those wonderful world poets. My first piece is called Flight Without Flight Attendants. My secretary Adela is my first reader and often also a harsh critic of my poems. Yesterday, she scolded me for mentioning too often flight attendants in my poems. She claimed uniformed women, such as flight attendants and the nurses, are more and more attractive for more and more aging men. I reacted with a smile, but I couldn't explain her that she was a bit wrong about it. For instance, my wife, a badass officer, is almost always wearing her police uniform. Yet, I have never in my life dedicated some poem to her. However, I would write whole poetry collections about girls studying high schools and colleges, although for a long time, they don't wear uniforms anymore in my country. We live in a democratic state, after all. By the way, I am surprised it's just about secretaries that poets don't write almost at all. That's probably because mostly secretaries don't wear uniforms, and poets usually don't have any secretaries. This was the first text. And the second one, working hours. You know you have to finish that translation until tomorrow, do you? The boss is waiting for it. I know you know it, just don't forget about it. And why are you looking into the monitor while talking to someone? You know the general director doesn't like it. He wants you to look straight into his eyes while talking to him. Yes, I know you always do so when you talk to him. But it was just for reminding you this. Then, hey, I know it's none of my business, but in the morning when you make coffee, you could prepare it for all your colleagues, not only for yourself and for Mrs. Yanova. Yes, I know no one else in the office drinks coffee, but you too. But still. And why are you wearing those old jeans at office? This is no representative mode of dress for our company. You should wear something more elegant. I know no one blames you for this, but this doesn't mean people don't notice such things and don't comment on them. I'm telling you all of this openly, honestly, sincerely, for I only think of what's good for you. By the way, when do you intend to write that CV for Mrs. Lindbauerova from the Human Resources Department? I know she only told you about it yesterday and that you have 2 months to do it, but just for you to realize that time is flying. After all, I am the leader of this team and I have a responsibility for the fulfillment of collective and individual tasks of all employees. Okay, now go back to your seat and to your work. Yeah, I know you haven't moved from your seat and that you never stopped working, but it was just to make it clear to you that you are at the office, at work, and not in some cafe, and that as a responsible employee, you have to focus on what you have to do. That's all. Dude, this girl is completely useless. Look, this makes another day she didn't understand how much I love her. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Thank you. Right, so I'm going to stop the recording for a second, if I can find where it is, and then there we go. Pause.
Hear me well? Do you hear me well? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'm here in which is an asylum for Ukrainians, actually for any refugees, but right now it's an asylum for Ukrainians. We have 130 Ukrainians right now. And I've been living here for 4 months.
Alexander, you're sorry.
People have been living here for 7 months.
You're echoing a bit, so you might maybe want to try turning off the camera side of it. I don't know if you can do that. See if that works.
Okay. Does it work better?
Yeah, that seems better.
Does it
yeah.
work better?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I'm now in a refugee center for Ukrainians. It was created. There have been different types of refugees, not only for Ukraine, but right now we have 130 Ukrainians here living together. And
Sorry, it's gone again. It's gone again.
Okay, well, I cannot really do anything. I'm really close to the mic. Does this sound better? Does this sound better?
Yeah, maybe keep as close to that as possible. That was loud and clear.
Yeah, I actually had it. Okay, so should I say the introduction again, or should I just move on to the point? I kind of said it already 2 times, so I don't know. Yeah, so to be honest, just to say, Norway is not the best place for refugees. This is like absolute nightmare, to be honest, and it was better in Poland, to be honest. This is unbelievable conditions and very inhumane, to be honest. The system is horrible. But anyway, I decided to have a series of poems that are answers to some best poems from different countries. And this is a Norwegian poem translated by a Scottish poet. So a few years ago, a their listeners to rank their favorite Norwegian poems. The beginning poem was this one written by Olaf H. Hauge, and I will read a part of the translation by Scottish poet Robin Fulton. It's a dream we carry in secret that something miraculous will happen, that one morning we will glide into some little harbor we didn't know was there. And my answer to the poem is as follows. How many harbors has my nation seen? Some close, familiar, that we knew all the entries of, some unexpectedly similar, despite being so far away. Most thankfully, very friendly, we knew about some, or sailed to unknown shores, the lands of mystical beasts, great whales, seductive sirens, lands that our imagination has created, rather than being true to themselves. And definitely, the majority of us has never dreamt of seeing them rise. We keep dreaming, both in secret and daringly open to the whole world, surprising our neighbors, surprising ourselves. The dreams are being broken, stolen, just to be created again. We kept getting up, no matter how many times our dreams were betrayed. Each generation was the best people to be turned into national heroes and create motivation for good times. We don't believe in miracles, not the given ones, for we know that the only lasting ones are the miracles we create by ourselves.
Okay, the location I think was not that great. We got some of it. To be honest with you, it wasn't that clear, Alexandra. I think the echo refugee life, I'm afraid, sadly. Thank you anyway for trying. Maybe next time we'll get a better location for you. Thank you. Okay, Claire Duffy, I don't think has made it. No. All right then, Jude Ma.
I'm here.
You're
Thank you.
here.
Thank you, Finn. And everyone, what a fun and interesting evening. And I hope I'm not going to bring the mood down too much, but I've got my usual trigger warning for existential angst and 3 poems about trees. The first one is called Horticulture as a Cure for Loneliness. I planted a maple in a pot, fired clay turquoise glazed. The maple pushed out leaves, brilliant vermilion. I watered, I watched. Then, just as vermilion brilliance peaked, my maple began to grieve.
I'm not hearing anything. Is it me?
Yeah, I too. Are we okay?
Yeah.
I'll go back to the beginning of that stanza. Then, just as vermilion brilliance peaked, my maple began to grieve. Leaves like spiders, small brown spiders, dead in dusty corners. Spider leaves, desiccated, fell. Stoic maple, naked now, a geometry of leaflessness. You can't bend your branches, you can't hide your nakedness. Your root ball, confined inside clay, can't unfurl. Were you lonely, your dark roots entombed in turquoise? But if I had set you free, let your roots tunnel under my high, whitewashed wall, what conditional conversations could you have had so far from a maple forest? Should I have watered you more? The next one's called Forests Are Fragile Now. Unless you are woodpecker, do not tap. Leave bark unscarred by your etched remembrances. Trees bleed. Bark splits like parched skin oozing raw. Unless you are otter, do not dam. No saw-toothed construct will save you from inundation when worlds melt. Bark splits like sun-swelled plum flesh. Unless you are hog, do not root. Your subterranean tunneling disrupts each earthy filament. Infinite will sense. Bark spit from digger's teeth, blood wet. Unless you are fox, do not scream. Forests are fragile now, and despite what you believe, no one will hear. Cords spit from choir pits, trash. Listen, hair, unless leaves breathe for you, sighing their indifference. Cords split like kindling axed. Unless you sit with trees, lit trees like tiki torches, flesh. Unless. And the last one is called Man Fire Speaks. I am man fire, power unleashable as friction, flash, a thunderclap, accompaniment to oily rags, a cigarette, a faulty wire. No, not hellfire, that's a tired trope. If I devour a forest and no witnesses are found, does Gaia call that conflagration act of God? What titan with a matchbook and bad attitude, what omniscient mind, lighter in hand, damns rabbits, damns woodchucks, damns bears? Where in your book would Gaia read as admonition, burn the world? Revelation. I am man fire. I am not your God. I'm a prisoner on license. Ankle monitor, a fuse. You can use me. I can be controlled. But if arsonists now rule, they will incite. One spark, a light. I am never alone. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, love nature poems. Love nature poems. Okay. Earlier than probably ever for a long time. Leslie Constable.
Hello, everyone. Wonderful to be here. I'm going to read two. The first one's called Blank Stare. You will drum your fingers in tune with the rhythm and into the pause of nothing. Between breath, you don't hold your breath. You inhale on the exhale, only momentary. To suspend the gasp of wonder, all. To signal the intake, renewing the tissue, the fabric of being upon release, holding and holding to finally free the breath, escaping the hold of body. You look and behold that you, in breathing out, you have created the world, the passageway by breath with breath, drawn out and into existence, the roadmap, the grid patterning of the world, the roar, the sound you make with deep breath that you mean, the sound that deep coming from the cellular level, traveling throughout the connective passageways of sinew, muscle, bone, the sound box from which sound radiates and deepen into the hush before night falls and we sleep our sleep at last at the end of the day. The roar of self as it unlocks the passages, the passageways, the path to oblivion, the echo of breath, the elongated echo of place that places you there close by to take you to the edge of nothing, the blank stare, looking out, looking through, looking past the everything into nothing, is a sign of deep comfort, asleep while awake, resting in place, outside the field of vision, is the remembered, the thing, the place you can place yourself in, looking too hard, the flash of an image or pain in the upper left shoulder, is your life encapsulated, the sharp razor cut of a sharp vision you have as a sheet music memory to play the instrument that you cannot see, blurred, obscured by total darkness. The second one is called The Reaches of the Sky. The reaches of the sky you left, you cannot touch now, only look in spirit. Its calm knowing has lifted you to that which is said we cannot touch, to touch the wordless, the other. But in saying it, it is not the what is we live with. This deep juncture, our secret as beings, that we can, at the same time that we cannot, at any moment, transcend the belief and be as spirit, dancing with the stars in the night sky. Is that what you want? Your intention to not be there, yet be there, now where you cannot touch nor be touched? The reaches of the sky at night took you. You reached for it upwards towards this, the longing for, the uplift for it, for the other, and it lifted you. Gone now? The lower reaches called to you, for you, to you, aloft on your perch there, and looking down, you answered yourself, called to it, to you, now forevermore, waiting there, no more and forevermore, in your ways, waiting there, hovering between worlds. You know then at that moment who you are, and you never forget the coming back to middle. You are walking, coming back to you, as you are here, and you never forget that you are both up and down and in the middle now, and you see above the knowing that there is hell, and being not afraid, you are afraid, and unleash the light that shines emanating from within, and that you know the within, which lights the way, is that which lights the way, illuminating all in its cadence, its own rhythm, deepening the shadows, so we know that there are the shadows, even though we do not want to see, to look more onto and further into their depths, that which we do not want to see, to know their mysteries, so we know that they are there. What is in the light only dances with the darkness, the lover from the underworld. It is there waiting, the steep knowing from the other world, the waiting to be shone upon by the light, waiting to be shone upon by the light, the one who holds for us that which is light. So that's all for me.
Thank you, Leslie. It wouldn't be Blot without you. Thank you. All right, it's the sage on the stage. Mr. Richard Spisak.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And thank you, all you wonderful poets. The joy that you bring, the thoughts, the caring, the charm of your words is magic. So I've got two silly little pieces. One, for those of you who've been victimized by, let's say, royal fantasy. This is called Chuck and Friends. For example, sample a man on an island who thinks that inside him, because of his blood, he's better than Bud. So he wears a special hat, and that defines him where he sat, a friggin' hat. He's waited all these years, unliberated, unappreciated. He sat for that? A velvet hat with sprinkles. Hey, wrinkles, 70 odd years, mon frere. He has stood for some good, pushed himself like he should have stood, and waited like a ton of weighty freight. Him all set to spoil like some old royale jelly, reputation sullied. Such a honey. All that defines him all these years now in arrears. And so this island complete should fall to its knees after the falderall absurdist complete. Get to your feet, conceit complete. He's got this fine robe, and the gallant he chose, the whole bloody island to find him, I suppose. Hey, who chose this robe? Wave, oh, wave from your velvet chair. Ah, get up, mate. Tell me why again I forget. Set your hand out for another my pennies, mate. Yes, my tribute to whatever. And now something completely different. I want to offer you this fiddly fine. There we go. It's called, there was an excessive zeal for security, and they were rounding up simple protesters. And in this same excessive zeal, we've had it here. I wrote this. This is called Homeland Defense. Homeland Defense. Between the kings of Saudi oil, who Shell and Exxon dare not to spoil, those of Wall Street's fiscal toil, where betting against the working man guarantees a stock's demand, the desert prince with generous eye holds courts intense, where gas station cards shall pay the rent. Does the oily hand of old GH show old CIA man still in control? Pass the ID cards, but not a fakin'. This way from true American icon shaken. Your face will now be pre-recorded, and all your flights will now be boarded. Arm the pilot, the stewardess too, next to the pillow in the barf bag fun. All the passengers now will be given guns. Oh, for a shootout in the airy blue. Oh, what just a day can do. I pictured the Stewie, tray in her hand, confronted by the wanted man. Toss the tray into his face, spins on her arm and kicks him trace. He rolls across the cart to a Boy Scout troop who truss him up and steal his boots. His arms behind his back now tied, they bounce him over to the choir side, who pummel, pillage, then retire, and all those who were watching were inspired. Then a group of Civitan asked for a few fingers from his hand, and the Brownie troop wants his bushy beard. You should have heard the things I heard. Then an old monk, Jesuit, gave him quite a goodly kick, and the secretary gets him with her bick. Though the pilot and co-pilot were vying for priority, they submitted their decision to the vote of the majority. Some wanted to toss him right out the door, but a cloister of nuns still wanted some fun. They dragged him back to the airplane's tail, and rugby team ran him back to the gale. Up to the galley where they banged his lid 2 or 3 times on the oven's lid, and a group of congressional aides in first class pulled every hair from out of his ass. A covey of comedians dove right in with a left and a right to his nose and his chin, and a group of traitors down from Duluth pushed him and mashed him into the roof. Some ceiling tiles and an overhead bin broke when they tried to stuff him in. But let this be remembered and never forget, don't ever wait till your library book's late. An excess of security zeal.
Bravo, bravo, brother, bravo. Perking up as the night goes on, man. They'll all be finished and everyone will go to bed and I'll suddenly feel alive the first time in days. Oh, wonderful. Thank you. All right. Mr. D. Allen. If he's still in the house.
From Written Tales magazine. This is a prose poem called What Better Gift? Each suburb has one thin, dark-clad, sad-faced baby bat, driven to high school in a silver Toyota Camry, dropped off, petite shadow, drifted past scornful teenagers, Girls' tongues wag, diss and slag. Boys stare puzzled at her. Class scapegoat, bullied with a toss toad, landing upon a notebook on a desk with exquisite pen drawings, backed with loud laughter. School outcast, confined to the bench, alone and sitting, face and spirit downcast, whilst children in white, athletic outfits and sneakers frolic through the gym, bouncing a white rubber ball, phys ed routine, then mass dispersal when the wall bell rang, deserted. Social leper, lone silhouette, drifted past scornful teens again, unseen. Left school for the bus stop, city bus sped, refusing to cease for one potential passenger. Social leper, forced to walk a street of fears. Car doors locked on sight. Poodles on leashes, walked by senior couple, suddenly barked out their rage. School crossing guard raised her stop sign. Stop! Being scary. Small girl at playground screamed, hid small face in both hands. Women's face registered an identical fright. Countless birds flee from the tops of trees and telephone wires. Flower garden tending neighbor in straw hat and gloves cast evil eyes at her approach. For thin dark days, then a parent willing to go wrong way, daughters through the Gothic life. Ain't sign of appreciation.
Your screen's frozen, Dee. Sorry, the screen's frozen. He's gone again. He's been dropped out a couple of times. Hopefully we'll get him back. Hopefully. Okay. Where are we now? Let's try this one. Running order. All right. Yes, of course. Here we are with blotter, new blotter number 2 tonight. It's a small world, the internet. People say social media is shit, but I kind of wouldn't have this connection with every wolf, and it was. As you all know, last week I put a plea on my next film project, try to find as many Scots people of Scots heritage. And this person was actually not suitable because obviously I found someone from that area, and it's heritage she's got as opposed to being born here. But she was recommended to me by someone who doesn't do Zoom. He hates Zoom, but he was in my Howell movie and B.W. Covington, and he recommended. So would you please welcome Sharon Elliott to Blot?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, Finn, PW, and I met in Cuba, actually, on a poetry delegation to their annual poetry festival. And I wanted to say to Richard, you kind of stole my thunder because the 2 poems I'm going to read are old ones, but they came to mind during the global shit show, is how I want to say it yesterday. And so here they are. And Finn liked this one, so I'm going to read this one. Oh, if I can get it up on my screen. There it is. So I really, really hate the word bespoke, which apparently came to the United States from England, as many things did. So this poem is called Unbespoken. Bespeak to me of customs made, tailors making clothes, cobblers making shoes, businesses making portfolios, geeks with pocket protectors making webby sites. Bespoke I will not say. Remember that the British the English, sorry. Remember that the English bespoke colonies all over the world. Leave royals bespoken by the wayside. Kings and princes do not become us, unless class grasping is another needless pastime, and noses in the air, pretension rules your day. And then this is from actually the other side, which is us over here in this weird country. And I'm going to give a little background. My mother actually grew up in the same little town and at the same time as Walt Disney. They were definitely not class peers, however. So I learned a lot about that dude that isn't written on Wikipedia. So on this day when the most efficient colonizers on the planet are putting silly hats on an old man and his consort for no good reason that I can think of except money, here's the United Statian version. Don't forget who and what rules this land. And I call it the happiest place on earth. In the midst of forgettance, where half-truthies masquerade as penguins, and remembered says it will always be, comes nostalgia, unbethought by dancing mice, high-wire crows, sing-song obliterates the day. Cruel griot with no clothes or feet to strap on sandals decides for a small Missouri town that magique happened there, sends dreamers to tolerate the sun. Bye-bye, Mr. Dizzy. An apology is warranted, don't you think? That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Very apt indeed. You can never have too many anti-establishment poems here. That's fine. No placards will be removed from anyone, by the way. All right. Stateside. Still here, Kenyatta.
Hey, you see me? Okay. Hi, everybody. All right, got 2 poems for you. You ready for me?
Take it away.
All right. Different. I was born to be different. What God sees differently. I was different in a different way. I was talked to different, look a different way. God said I'm the head and not the tail. He said I am above and not beneath. I was born to be different. All right, my favorite one of all. KEYANA THEARTST. Kiana the artist. I go around the world to tell my story to every girl, to every boy, to every man, to every woman. I go around the world to tell my story, all in one. The attitude of character to visible love to unspoken word. I'm the artist. I'm the artist. He believe in God, believe also in me. I'm a woman. I'm a woman. I'm a woman with faith with God, what matters to me, what falls in place and never to justify what you can become. Every day is a new day. Every day is a bright and sunny day. I tend to be with my friends and become even more. My deepest prayer is to believe in yourself, to judge me because I am Black. This moment of speech. Now walk in my shoes. 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 My naysayers can't say what to say about you because I am somebody. Because I am somebody. To the natural hair, to the natural eyes. Look at me. I'm natural. Success determines you. Is this mic on? Can I have your attention, please? Words and dream reality. So why I'm here? Because I'm the next generation. Thank you. And I put my information in the chat box.
Boom. Yeah. Thank you. That was
Thank
fabulous. Ishimura Kiana in 2 months when she's our July feature poet. Yeah, looking forward to that one. Okay. Struggled to get in tonight, but you made it. Elizabeth Carey.
Oh, Definitely gremlins tonight, Finn. My poems tonight are on nature's themes. Nature's call. Soothing, comforting. The cooing, my early morning caller, undisturbed by the harshness of hungry gulls squawking. He sits aloft the branches of nearby trees. His neighbors surround him, blackbirds in pairs, guarding their nests. I listen, I watch, as nature awakens to another day, another dawn, new life, spring. Nature's kaleidoscope. Oh, to be free, buzzing like bees gathering pollen. Azaleas japonica, their pungent, heady aroma, a gargantuan feast. Busily humming, moving amongst each flower head, hungrily gathering their precious bounty. Daffodils, tulips, wood hyacinths, a riot of color, replace the delicate snowdrops. The senses awaken from the sleepy drabness of winter, the soul enriched by nature's kaleidoscope. Have I got time for another one, Finn?
Always time.
Now this is a fun one. It's called Just Follow My Instructions. Oh no, it's that time of year again. I've grown healthy and strong at the center. Now I'm being uprooted. Why can't they learn? I need a warm, deep bed to snuggle up in, set down my own roots. I know I look healthy. That's not the point. The move traumatizes me. If only I could speak, I'd tell them, leave me alone. All I need, right from the start, is my very own space, just my own space. I know you're not listening. You have to, if you want me to grow strong. I want to be tall and slender. I want to be the envy of the rest. I want to be healthy. Please don't go to the center. Sow the seed of love. Just follow my instructions. No need to transplant or uproot. Sunshine, nourishment, fluids. Allow Mother Nature to do her work. Then she'll give you the longest, straightest, juiciest carrots of all.
Thank you.
Now,
Yeah.
can I say I wrote that as a result of having 2 years of wonky carrots, because I bought them from garden centres and transplanted them. And
Wow.
carrots need to be sown with love.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Wonky carrots. Once upon a time, they were just called carrots. Now they're called wonky carrots. Yeah.
Oh, they were very wonky.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on. Zach.
Good evening, folks. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Fantastic. So I noticed there's a bit of a theme of nature tonight. I wasn't going to do a nature poem, but I am going to do one actually. This is a poem. It's called Loves. It actually is taken from a hymn that I wrote when I was about 15 years old. I had a very religious upbringing, and although I'm no longer religious, back then I was sort of buying into all that. And I wrote this originally as a hymn, and I've re-edited it just in this past week to reflect my appreciation of nature. I love the mountains, resplendent in beauty. I love the blossoms that bloom on the tree. I love the forests, the hills and the valleys, matriarch nature, her gifts unto me. I love the blue skies, the glades and the flowers. I love the waves drifting onto the shore. I love the warm sun, the wind and spring showers. In rapture I, celebrant forevermore. I love the creatures that dwell all around us, in the air, on land or under the sea. I love the morning, the daytime and sunset. Beneath nature's favour, my thankful soul free. I love my kinfolk, my friends and companions. Her mercies and grace are sufficient enough. Living upon her earth as one of her children, as loving her, knowing returned is her love. And I'm going to sort of stay on the theme of nature. However, we're going to go sort of beyond the veil. This next poem is a lot more macabre. It sort of focuses more on the belief system that is the occult. And although it's focused on nature, the poem is called At Night, and it's sort of that time of night when, you know, witching hour, if you will. And if you've ever found yourself going for a long walk at night and you found yourself in the woods or some such, you sort of feel that there are sort of ethereal entities around about you. And whether you believe in that or not, I think it's something we've all felt at one point or another. So this is At Night. As the mists of Ian descend, they begin to stalk the earth. In the darkness they emerge, woven paths devoid of mirth. Where mere mortals hold no mastery, their dominion 'tis to roam. From the ether, dank bedevilled, vie for power 'neath Luna's dome. Sylvan spirits drifting faintly, in peripheral passage darkly. Eerie entities unseen, felt their chill though, sordid, starkly. Ever watching, ever listening, ever influencing the atmosphere. For those foolish menfolk's trespass send their silent vibes of fear. Periodic apparitions manifest as fairy fauna, comfort brought to guide us safe secure through Greenwood's phantom aura. The vixen, owl and nightingale, the badger, stag and hedgehog, thrushes rustling, murine hustling, nocturnes vivids and frogs. More often flora comfort found, flowers decker, noble trees, ent and fairy scent guiding portents, but be wary of their ease, for others lead astray, pilot lights and music whispers, pixies, wisps and goblin elves, succubi sent cunning tricksters. The ground feels all whom tread there, follows all whom wend their way. The water's course is bound and flows with magics night and day, suggesting paths of fresh adventure for the fool who is not vigilant. Be wary of their beckoning, for yawning currents churn belligerent. Listen carefully unto the winds, heed their stories and eidolon songs, sent by fate to carry forth Queen Destiny through right or wrong. Oh, but Nocturne's pixie music floats across the water beckoning. Follow not the rustling leaves, 'tis the banshee wailing reckoning. Look on high, the stellar heralds, lest thy name heard sweetly call. Softly breathe beyond the ether, now dwells thither, be not thralled. Should thee stray, wilt find thy journey deviates from terra firm. The satire forest prince beguiles, soon would serve thee to the worm. Those vampiric predatory woodland spirits, peradventure, alluring sprites and wights devour those whom dare to venture. Look instead unto the Naiad's counsel, heed the Dryad's wisdom, for a stranger thou in Nocturne's realm, but a guest once in her kingdom. The monsters lie in wait for thee, servile to the supernatural, and on power man boasts of in the day, in the night doth wilton fail. This uncharted demon haunt, where but ghouls and lost souls roam, cannot guarantee thy salvation, whomst invades their sacred home. Sing thee songs of soft sweet sanctity, and appease yon fairy sentries. Harvest crystals, moss and herbal scents, pay due homage to the trees. Voodoo charms and necromancy cause but Hadean upheaval. These are not thy tools to wield, but corrupt the soul beyond retrieval. Avoid hell-sent malevolence of golems, geists and ogres. Open not this realm, gifted to man, those monsters thirst to conquer. Your dominion 'tis to only tend, else submit to nature's power. Cultivate her blessings, yet befriend the creatures and all that flower. befriend her children, safe and sacred in her palate's light, lest be fallen of her wrath found the one she punishes at night. She may sanction those against thee, whom the underworld hath grazed, to rise up from Baphomet's own gardens, thence to carry thee away. Sylvia guides the righteous safe, not as stricters to the good. The trees and plants protect thy path, wilt ne'er ensnare thee i' the woods. The moss and herbs and rocks will aid thine honest divination, plucked and plied in modest praxis, bring thee not intoxication. As a mortal, proud and titled, power hast thou but a little, dwarfed a sooth by nocturne's veil, neath her power supernatural. Her behest canst trust thou only, if thou only humble art. Submit thy soul, and tend her kindred, and shalt imbue thine heart. For thou, her child also, wrought of nature's fondest craft. 'Tis for her glory thou hast life, whom sojourning weep and laugh. Reach out, thy mother to embrace, strive not against her will. Become as one in nocturne shadows, be with her spirit filled. And to finish on a higher note, Finn, if I have time, a wee love poem instead, just to sort of finish on a bit more of a positive note, because that was a bit dark for me. And this poem is titled simply She. Sate in concert, extant out with time and mortal plane, upon the border tween our own world and horizon's ether, bound in spirits entwined as one beyond the extra mundane, swimming neath ignited skies as joined our souls together. Aneath the placid vermilion and soporific salmon, the most beauteous of twilight spectrum fires ever seen, or likewise searing tangle flush of dulcet ruptured dawn, as inspiriting a firmament as ever there has been. Enraptured, she breathes in awe, afore perturbed her query slips, why I behold not nature's opus, but rather gaze on she. Enraptured, I answer she the troubled whisper from her lips. Verily, thou art more beautiful than e'en those skies to me. Not one non-parallel episode across all nature's repertoire compares in spite of all its gorgeous, matchless, endless bounty. All fades and pals next to the one who reigns my heart, this love and admiration that surrounds me and confounds me. She is my heartstrings' eulogy, without her I am naught. Of all attributed to nature, art, or craftsmanship, she, beauty's peerless epitome that sea-sick fondest wrought, and I her thrall, devotion unconditional, unenclipped. Unworthy I, who only plead she favours yet my troth. What feeble love I have to offer may ne'er suffice enough. I am but mortal, she divine, whom hath my lovelorn oath. Incomplete without her, I asseverate my love. O accepted of the sorrow, unworthy as I am, sick passion cannot be contained, and bringeth fearful tears. Videlicet, be I lachrymose, since but a wretched man, cleft from her, would I occupy a living death's cold jeers. Yon lucid heavens mesmerize, and bolstered bless the soul, aperture into Arcades' idle utopian nirvana. Yet only if one canst but share with she who makes me whole, the only one can't steer me sure through life's fraught diorama. Thank you very much.
Brilliant as always, man. I think there's very few Zooms where you'll get such a different variety of stuff all in one evening as you get here. Fantastic, love it. All right, Gerald. You're muted.
That's better.
Yeah.
Hello all, and as you can see, I'm coming to you from an 18th century picture of Walsall. And Clive was threatening a semi-nude poem. So I'm going to start with a poem that includes complete nakedness. It was written at 3 o'clock in the morning. I just warn you, and involves Ringo Starr. So it may called Ringo Starr in My Letterbox. I saw Ringo Starr in my letterbox. He'd forgotten his trousers and he'd got no socks. What the hell was he doing there when he should be drumming, not wandering around bare? I said, Ringo, mate, I don't understand, but he stood stark naked with a letter in his hand. It's addressed to you, do you want to see inside? He tore open the flap and I decried, you can't open my mail, it isn't right. Comes from John Lennon, Look, the stamp's all white, like the video for Imagine with the piano and his wife. He says, peace and love, brother, just get a life. I said, come on, Ringo, that can't be true. And the reflection in my letterbox can't be you. You may be a beetle, but please go away. All right, he said, I'll be back some other day. You see, I just saw Ringo in my letterbox. He'd forgotten his trousers and he'd got no socks. Then he vanished. Well, imagine that. I'm left with the memory and his baseball cap. A terrible thing I write at 3 o'clock in the morning. And the second, but this was also written at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's called The Ant in the Witness Box. It's the nearest I'm getting to nature tonight. It is about an ant in a witness box. I don't know if some of you have somehow felt like this sometimes. That's what it's called. As if hemmed in by time, the prisoner stands in the dock. This man accused of crimes as multiple as the hours he could have utilized 100 ways or more. How do you plead? The judge exclaims over the juror's chatter. The prisoner can hardly hear or speak. Behind each shoulder, his jailer's death and duty cough. He watches an ant crawl up the witness box. How has he got there? How much will he have to say? The prisoner bows his head, repents his hours of indolence. So yeah, Cooper, William Cooper wrote a poem about ants and things like that and small things. Anyway, just to bring you more really up to date, I thought I'd do a poem about the Tudors, just to show that I'm really on the ball with what's going on. Because I'm reading The Mirror and the Light by Hilary Mantel, and I thought I'd read you this poem. It's called Pledge, and this is about what was happening in Tudor times under Henry VIII. They are closing down the monasteries and chopping off the heads of papists. They are burning women and quartering men. The king's daughter is attracting attention. Some people still don't believe she's a bastard. But until he gets a proper son, how can we be sure the kingdom will survive? Meanwhile, Thomas Cromwell interrogates and Cranmer sits on his purple cushion. There is a rumour the Archbishop is secretly married. Thomas More is dead, of course. He would not pledge allegiance to the king. Such a small thing and insignificant, which history will eventually forget. That's my topical poem about the Tudors. I was going to read it actually in the concert tonight, but they didn't let me. I don't know why.
What a shame. You don't know what they're missing, man. Don't know what they're missing. All right, brace yourselves. It's semi-nude poem. It's Clive.
Hello, right. There is a theme of nature tonight, and my nature is to be a silly ass, so that's what I'm going to be. And I'm going to do two. The first one, some of you have heard, but I haven't done it here, and there's a fair few people who haven't heard it, so I'm going to do it again. The second one is semi-new. Not semi-nude, but semi-new. In that it has been performed once. I only wrote it this week, but I've changed it quite significantly, so it's almost new. So the first one is one of my problems with the letter swapping again. Somebody has crept into my flat and changed some of the letters around on my keyboard. And this time it was the letters T and P. And as always, I didn't realise until it was too late, and I wrote the poem and then I was stuck with it. So this is for T and P toem. Trigger warning. Fist toem contains some leper swatting. Poo games I am good at. Tool and piddlywinks. I have been down fi tub for a drink and use fi tool pable to track piss my prick shops. I was pickled tink when my favourite prick came off. Have any of you ever pried any prick shops? On my way home from Fitob, I saw an ex-girlfriend. We ignored each other, like poo shits tassing in Fingipe. I got home to my one-bedroom flat, which is a bit of a shiphole, and found little food to eat, just some green grates. I dislike seedless grates. I like to live dangerously and swallow fitits. I was bored. I had no idea what to do. I wanted to go to the theatre to see Jesus Crisp Suter Spa, but I have no money. Work has dried up as a male trusty pupe since the genital warps. I turned on the radio. It was all tollypicks, followed by the shitting forecast. Tollypicks, eh? I dislike tollypipians, especially Trippy Tapal. David Cameron made promises, but he never walked the walk. He just porked the pork. And Pony Blair, he's an ass. He'll never change. A leotard never changes its stops. I like Storp, particularly football, or soccer as it's called in the Uniped Spapes, but also rugby league, cricket and pennis. Fair, I said it. I like a bit of pennis. I've seen some grape storping games. Tiger Woods, Stone Cold Steve Horsepin, footballers Matt Lapissier, Telly and Frank Lampard. I had a sore throat, maybe a pouch of Ponsolipus, so I decided to check my emails, then Lisbon per music. One email was from a friend offering me a free Pramtoline. I knew it was too good to be true. She said there were no springs attached. Oh well. So I viewed some YouTube video clips. I remember seeing Populi clips of the harp by Bunny Pyler, and the harpist formerly known as Trince singing Turtle Rain. I like songs from the 80s and 90s. Then I fell asleep. I had this strange dream for my rope trotter toapri. Atrotosperus is fap. So that's that one. And then I sorted my keyboard out and I had a bash at haiku. Now, this is called a haiku sequence as written by an Englishman. But I must stress I am not taking the mickey out of haiku poetry or haiku poets. What I am taking the mickey out of is the Western misunderstanding of haiku. So this is a haiku sequence as written by an Englishman. Inspired by Japan, I am writing haiku. Anything will do, as long as I count the correct amount of syllables, just like this. In the beginning there was God, and God did say, "Count the syllables!" A simple statement becomes a haiku if it's 5, 7 and 5. If you're bright and write very high IQ haiku, I like you, I do. Not supposed to rhyme? Bollocks to haiku then. I'm adding 2 more lines and calling it a tanker. Don't you call me a wanker. My mum used to say, masturbating sends you blind. Can't see it myself. My memory sucks. Maybe masturbating causes amnesia. Counting syllables. I tried to write a haiku and got it wrong. Shit! Oh, hang on. Counting syllables. I tried to write a haiku and got it wrong. Shit. Second time lucky. Which journals accept haiku? I may submit this. My memory sucks. Maybe masturbating causes amnesia. If the syllables are counted incorrectly, is it a loku? Is a syllable any relation to a stupid cow? Forget 17, you just need to count 13 to make a haiku. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. A 575 about numbers 1 to 9 is a Sudoku. An affectionate poem in 575 is an I like you. 575, full of crackpot ideas, is a David Icke. Never thought myself much of a comedian, but my neighbours do. I heard what they said as they talked to each other in the spring sunshine. Just stay away from the ginger at 42. He's a bit funny. They say I'm stupid, that I'm one syllable short of haiku. My memory sucks. I can't remember the rest, so this is the end. Thank you very much.
Brilliant, brilliant. We'll all remember that now, do we? Okay, thanks very much, Clive. All right, Ian.
Yeah, okay, Ro. After Clive's little set, I hope I'm just going to manage to get through this without tripping over or mispronouncing any of my words or losing count of how many syllables that I've spoken. Oh, it's yeah, it's kind of can be infectious, that, can't it? Like spoonerism. Anyway, this first one's called They Like It When You Talk Dirty. So some impressions of the corruption of power. They like it when you talk dirty, whispering sweet nothings in their ear, rumors of disingenuous favors, entanglements in dim-lit boudoirs. And if you are slyly wondering what this is all about, lean in closer to me, let me whisper it. No need to shout it over the rooftops for all to hear. Some discretion, please. Looking for some scandalous tidbits? Here's something you can do for me. You won't hear it often spoken. Those sorts are too tight-lipped for that. Confidential information is currency, requiring tit for tat. After all, what would be the points of being one who's in the loop, holding on to precious secrets, taking your share of the loot from illicit insider dealings with all those backhander receipts? So come a little closer to me, press your ear to my lips, my sweets. But please remember, once you have become complicit, let's just say, I have a lien on your soul, that there's an implicit price to pay. That's the first one. Second one is called What is Said and Left Unsaid. What's done and what is left undone is a matter for coincidence. The random denominator where time passing is the only certainty of a life that flickers all too fleetingly before the darkness begins to crowd in again. What matters or does not weigh upon the scale opens up a deeper chasm, leading to a pit of indolence, not caring what the outcome brings, but leaving all to chance, the throw of the dice, sailing majestically into the wind. Now consider what is said or left unsaid. The silent creep of circumstance leads to uncertain consequences, contingent on no cogent argument. And I could argue such and such is so for the sake of argument, but what I know, I know. Indifference will not slake the heavy-handed thirst that takes hold of wizened lips. Can you really make the case for holding out against the odds in hopes that on the other side there waits bliss? Questions, questions, with no promises of answers. Is this the fate of all those sad-eyed philosophers who sit down patiently to wait and see who will win the accolades, confounding all those that disabuse them of their wild negotiations? And consider once again, how will you know if you took the right turning on that winding pathway when you cannot tell the difference between what is said and what is left unsaid? And finally, since everyone's doing a nature poem of some sort, or I've got, well, it's kind of indirectly a nature poem. It involves rainbows. It's called A Moral Tale, or an impromptu response to a picture of a rainbow. Follow the rainbow, they said, fulfill your wildest dreams. And so I fell in with their wishes, dreaming up the wildest of schemes. But there was no end to the rainbow. There never was such a pot of gold, for luck is a fine woven web that traps the unwary and feckless in the fold of desires and lead only to sorrow, that blind them to the blatant truth, and that ambitions must be paid for by the sweat of hard work and proof. Thank you. That's for me.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. All right, Ashley.
Sorry, taking a swig of my brew. So I'm going to tick that theme that we're all seeming to tick because nature's beautiful. So let's do this. I've got two, but the second one is completely not about nature. So just warn you, two totally different poems. But yeah, Beauty and the Beast. Mosquitoes buzz and pierce our flesh, hungry. Fire ants sting and bite. An army's picnic for veteran expats. We, their feast, can merely scratch the flaming rash and swollen skin. Transported from the pain, the incessant itching, swim, gentle backstrokes in the ocean, eyes shut. Bright sunlight cuts through eyelids too thin to hide our imagination, where the hawk soars over untold stories of foot soldier fairies, carnivorous mermaids, cowering trolls, and sentient spicy saffron. The water sparkles, glitters as we drift on our back, ears filled with muffled, waterlogged silence. Skin soothed, let us stroll along our beach, sandy shore at the mouth of our cave. Microlives moulded like clay into this haven of limestone. Sun-bleached and salt water soaked, the rocks glisten as Poseidon's roar thrashes waves. Hypnotic shower of fearsome nature. Lean back, nestle into the cold, jagged rock. Embrace the sharp solidity. Take a shell, a conch, raise it to freshly soothed ears and listen to the purr of the dragon as he sleeps a slumber so deep. He will twitch taloned claws, lip trembling over his deadly teeth, tantalizing you into stroking his iridescent blue scales. Fearless, we can rest, enveloped by our sinuous, serpentine guardian. There you go. So yeah, second one is completely different tempo. So I'm gonna have another sip of tea because, you know, changing it up a bit. This is a new one. Lots of people have done NaPoWriMo, which is amazing. So this is one of my NaPoWriMos, and the prompt for the day was my passion. So you're getting a football poem. Yes. So all the footy fans, especially the ones that are struggling, so any Brummies in there, I see you, you know. Yeah, it's untitled, so. My passion for footy knows no bounds, the pitch is not the limit. My adulation for tribulations draws me back each week. I'll hurt my brain for the sake of the game, surround myself in noise. I'll stand in a crowd, be loud and proud for the sake of a bag of air. Enduring floodlights because it's a cup night, despite the chance we'll lose. Freezing cold with wind in my eyes for the pleasure of a winger's cross. It's every day throughout the year I cannot look away. I see them dance upon the grass, their nimble toes astound me. The craft involved, the thought it takes to react at the speed of light, the vision one needs to spot a pass when others just see danger. My eyes are bewitched by the curve of a ball, the way it drops so sweetly. I savour the genius, the well-practiced magic as 11 work together as one. I forget all else when my team attack, the world dissipates to dust. Anxiety is locked in a box as the ball pings around with intent. I count the stats that help us win, ignore the signs of weakness, put players on a pedestal where they can do no wrong. Berate mistakes with curses, blame the refs or VAR. Never fault my team because they fill my heart with joy. Thank you, I'm all done.
Yeah. Love an odd football poem. Well done. Okay, Joe.
Evening, everyone. I was too busy grabbing a drink of my port to think about unmuting. Well, I obviously missed the memo about nature, but my poems are kind of about human nature, so I've got it covered, I think. This one, the first one's called Old Boots. It's a fadeaway day, stuck in neutral, that dragging way. Reverse isn't an option. The most of it is left behind, and not much lies ahead. It's still a day for waiting. Tired old boots, worn out, more whole than soul, kicked off and abandoned, along with dusty memories, after walking round the world. That's the thanks. Don't expect anything else, except maybe a slap in the face. Old horses get shot. Maybe it's unlucky we don't. It's a long walk round the world. When it's a tired day, spend it quietly. Don't make a fuss or attract attention. No one likes it to be mentioned because it's only a matter of time before they reach first in line. It's only you it's happening to. No one else today. Everybody else is busy and jolly, living their lives to the full. It's only you and your boots now, waiting beside an old horse. Thank you. And the second one's just a very short one called Friction Burns. Stinging hurt irritates, turns septic, infected, raw rubbing red, burning, cheek turning not working, went beyond forgivable, way beyond acceptable, a lost cause already, nose spikes face. Too recent forever to forgive. Too recent forever to forget. And the third one's a sort of love, I suppose it's a love poem, which I don't write many of. It's called He Will Love You. He will take you to the theatre, then to a hotel, where the beds are dressed with great care in fine satin and 5-star Egyptian cotton. Midst fine art, he will play music to you there. He will love you between the sheets and in the shower with drenching power, and I won't be jealous. He will take you on drives into the country in summer when the sun is high, and he will lead you on long walks across low hills where the curlew cries, and he will love you in the warm grass with his mouth and thighs and artisan's hands, and I won't be jealous. He will take you to tropical paradise places and to view cloud-shrouded mountaintops. He will sail with you along the Nile and the Danube and ride with you across desert sands to his Xanadu. And he will love you in some cool oasis and feed you dates from his teeth to yours, and I won't be jealous. He will tangle you in a mist of gossamer caresses, and he will cascade you in warm kisses. He will undress you with a surgeon's touch, and with such precision you will hardly notice at all. Then he will treat you with such tenderness that every kiss becomes a fragile morsel, and I won't be jealous. He will love you on every voyage he takes you, with his lips and his tongue and sculptor's fingers. And he will love you with his hips and his pelvis, with strength, rhythm, intent, and vigor. And I won't feel any jealousy. After the love he has shown me with his eyes, his heart, and his poetry. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful stuff again, Joe.
Thank you very much.
mate. Cheers. Thank you. All right. Angie.
Hi. My first piece is about travel. Time to travel. Today is the day. Yes, we go away. The journey is planned, the suitcases at hand. It is a long drive, but we will survive. Lots of food in the car. Also, toilets are not far. All through one country as fast as a rocket. But another makes us quite slow. Traffic jams in a big city. On it goes to the next place, and we fill up with fuel. A short stop to eat a bit, and there we are at the sea. We can take the ferry or the comfy train. It is our choice, but no matter how, our bed is waiting somewhere, and we will get there. The next day we drive on, long or short distance. The roads are busy, but finally we arrive. The second one is more about nature. Carefree. On the lake this morning, the water was still, sleeping in its bed, dreaming in the wind. Swans passed by in a straight line. Could it be your mother, small ones following? So close, then gone, just a glimpse, a moment of joy. Observations, a time without worries. Nature knows what is right. And to finish, a short one that is called Walk. Walk. When the sun is shining, all is well. Light comes through the branches, kindness is felt. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Angie. Thank you. Always good to have you back here. And welcome back, Catalina. You're muted.
Hello, thank you. Yes, I was like, hope you can hear me well, but obviously I was muted, so you couldn't hear me at all. It's good to be back. It's been crazy, but yeah, here I am. I have managed to submit my poetry collection, current poetry collection that I put together. I managed to submit it, and I will read 2 poems from that collection as well. Quite definitory for the theme of it. And yeah, one of these poems, the first one that I'm going to read, I wrote it after a recent trip that I took mid-March, and I had in this really nice Airbnb, I had a big bathtub. I love hot baths, and I love kind of sauna style treatment. So I went wrapped in a towel on the balcony at the back with my glass of wine the first night, relaxing. So yes, you will see this in the poem. And it's called Prayer. Glass in hand, happiness comes in the form of Prisante. tower wrapped to lightly screen what cannot be seen, even on a backyard balcony in the land of balconies, terraces, slender windows, long shutters, gardens sprouting at the corner of the eye. A breeze slaps wet strands of hair, just a tease, while this city mingles with its histories dappled in darkness. Feet fuse with tires under the spell of trams passing behind the tree line. But this hidden nomad performs oblation, a voluntary obligation to a place and time that enveloped me like a womb. To be born again by the grace of a city break, long hunted in passages that separate dedication from duty. To be blessed by the patron of roaming when legs almost quit at the central station under the strain of gym workouts and a 3 days luggage. To be welcomed by Alforno chants in the morning at the fringe of one language touching another in so little words. Grazie, prego, molto gentile. It's a pilgrimage that keeps us bearing the grinder because we have to justify carrying a shadow on earth, however meager, under towers of unpaid tax empires that cannot spoil this feeling of being saved by the mere touch of slenderness, as 1,000 hearts in the chest of a city kiss our supplicant feet. It's a background prayer since those windows tilted into the descent. Nothing could stop tears from forming at the side. How beautiful you made this world. How unworthy we are. How fortunate. A prayer to take into the abyss of mundane indifference. That was prayer, and I have another one that's written on the same trip, the same kind of theme. So here we are. Pilgrimage. It rose above me, face of 1,000 luminous thunders. It received me with sound, thousands of stigmata pouring out to wandering hearts, where numbers just stick a box, click an image, slurp fashion into sluggishness under the rule of Insta book talk. Yet I yelled, "No, leave me alone, I'm filming," when somebody tried to sell me some nothingness, grumbled at pushing shoulders when the marching band cut through the square, gave up being polite, walked in front of their cameras, left my tripod, pointed to the woman posing with her back turned to the musicians. I argued when told, "No video, just photo." When they banished my tripod, tripped me with sarcasm, I swore, I raged, I sinned. But in the thundering face of incomprehensibility, carved into facades risen decades, centuries ago, I prostrate, without denying an inch of my armor, so all those who sneak into my camera witness nothing of my dissipation into the blazing bowl of perpetual vibration. A wonder chaser, I count my blessings as I emerge from rumbling tunnels to gaze upon Milano Duomo, or a silent palace of paintings and furnitures, a line of bricks and rubber, a remnant of greatness that echoes in my meek offerings, signed into the virtual noise space. A sinner praying among sinners, a pilgrim scrambling through entrance fees, debit card fees, Airbnb, a believer. And I have one last poem that actually I wrote today after taking a bit, like I took a week between finishing the poetry collection that with a bit of luck might get might get chosen, but I took kind of a week before writing anything new. This is very fresh. I wrote it today, and I have to say it's linked to what happened this weekend, but it's more about just enjoying a sunny day. Rain doesn't have a title, I leave it as it is now. Rain hung over the same old crown, only a new face stapled to national pride or to hatred, either side of this new wave of division between hunted hearts. Still, Sunday flowed with a stream of sunshine above all heads, those wearing the wreath of a privileged birth, those only crowned by wrinkles and sweat, and those wearing nothing but the translucent circle of yearning for life. A 19 Celsius afternoon reveals the world with a tide of immediacy that slides off wasp wings as they invade, half drunk with warmth, an attic flat where we revel in this renewal without pledges or warnings, when our toes grow tired of holding on to the mud. It's a time to welcome unexpected overflows of light and sounds, immeasurable depths of blueness, haunting mosaics of buzzing by the ear, just let it cascade into the day for as long as it lasts. At this side of the continent, summer graces us as she pleases, without demanding attention or consideration. She steps in, she dazes, she darts out, before we can even begin to miss the chaotic influx of sparkles in our blood. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Always good to have you back. All right, here's a story. I was putting my laundry in the local laundromat during the week, and there was a bunch of books there from someone we all know. And I pointed it out to the woman at the counter, and she says, "Oh yeah, she's a really beautiful person. Would you please welcome back, really beautiful person, Kelly?"
Did she really say that? That is so nice.
She did.
She's so nice, Elaine. She's a really lovely person. But like, can I just say how nice it is to be back, guys? Like, it's just like having a bath being back here in with you guys. Like, I had a bit of a, like, I'll just be honest, like a complete utter mental health deterioration after Christmas. And I got diagnosed with PTSD from the car crash that I was in last year. I think it was like a delayed reaction. And then I got my book out, and none of this would have happened without Finn. So like, this is a huge thank you, Finn. Like, I actually got a book out. But after that, like, I just my mind kind of shut down. And the 3 poems I've got tonight have kind of come from that dark hole that I kind of fell into. But it was like, I feel like it was really necessary, and I'll explain why, right? But so instead of like a nature poem, I'm going to do more one that's like the fabric of reality itself, right? So as a lot of you know, I'm an astrologer, and I kind of had like an existential crisis of like all the way through the car accident and stuff. I was watching the planets tick round and affect what was going on for myself. Thank you, Zach. And it was just, I found it really stressful that I was literally watching my life play out as dictated by the stars. So this poem is called Vishnu's Dream. I'm trapped inside the living clock. It softly ticks and gently talks. I'm pulled along as time unwinds. The planets bend and flex my mind. This existential dread won't shift. It pulses through my skin and rifts. Am I alone beneath it all? Just waiting for the reaping call? This question burst a fragile mind that had to trip and die to find a way to live inside the clock that softly ticks and gently talks. And then speaking about talks, right? So I couldn't go, I wasn't outside. I haven't seen Finn in person for months. And I couldn't go outside, and I couldn't cope having people in my house, right? But it all served like this beautiful creative purpose, because I moved everything online, and my TikTok is like totally kicked off. And now like I'm working online, so it's really cool. But when I was ill, I was literally glued to TikTok, and now I kind of feel like a drug dealer that isn't using their own supply, because I don't watch TikTok anymore, but now I'm uploading, and like I feel like I'm feeding the minging machine almost, right? But this is called sick talk, and if anyone's ever been addicted to social media, you'll understand what it means. Curled into a lazy, hazy knot, I'm stiff where I'm usually mellow. The light from my phone is casting a dome of projections a sick shade of yellow. Loops of the strangest sights you could see are filling my empty with nothing. Much to the surprise of my moonsick eyes, this allurement is slowly corrupting. Is this what it's come to? Is this who I am? A spectator who's watching not much? It's sucking me into its chaos and sin, and it's turning my brain into mush. And then the last one is a little poem called The Penumbra. And it's nice because we've just had a lunar eclipse, so I kind of really wanted to recite this little poem for you guys. I've been picking up the splinters of a heart I didn't break, while romanticizing colour on a backdrop of mistakes. We conjured songs between us in a language no one knew. Roots were tangled underneath the land where nothing grew. I can sometimes feel you dreaming on a mountain never scaled, as you serenade the fire with no one there to hear our tale. But love, there are no whispers that can transcend what was true. And somewhere deep within those flames, my colours bleed for you. And that was me, guys, and it's so nice to be back. Thank you for having me, and it's just so nice to be back.
Great to see you again, Kelly. Thank you very much indeed. Much love, much love. Okay, we're 2 down to go. Congratulations, who hosted our first Zoom show today. I don't know. Out in the big world on their own. That sounded terrible, but you know what I mean. There's something, Kate.
Thank you, Finn. Thank you. Just a little bit tired from earlier. It was fabulous. Thanks to those that came, and we decided it was such good fun. We'd probably do it again. So watch this space. Because the theme is greenery and nature. I just happened to have written 2 poems yesterday when I went to a poetry workshop to avoid something that was happening yesterday. I don't know what it was because I didn't watch it. So no titles. We were asked to write about somewhere green in nature that we like to go to. When my sanity is stretched to breaking, that's when I'm taking my leave. Leaving this space, this man-made building, heading into nature's green. Taking a lonely walk into nature, only lonely because I don't see a human soul except me. But surrounded by nature's green, feeds me in another way. Her smells of fruiting, flowers and sweet pungence of fresh decay, breathing bittersweet the life and death with every sorrowful gulping breath. It's here where birds don't fear to sing, clothed by nature's green, inspiring me to gain a new perspective. And possibilities seed themselves undetected, watered by my meandering, nurtured by my wondering, tended by my wandering. And only when my sanity has been restored, through leafy breeze upon my skin, do I return to my house once more, to breathe new life into everything. And then we were asked to rewrite the poem using sound. So I was in my element because I love sound. So this is the same poem, and it pulls out the sounds. Sizzling like electricity short-circuiting, my sanity crackles incontinuously, then stops. Silence. A rustle of my skirts and footsteps rushing, door slamming, gasping sobs of overwhelm, running now, grass underfoot, the odd squelch and sudden teardrop. A handkerchief of melancholy whistles cold and hollow through me, answered by the rustling leaves and birdsong bringing momentary relief. My desperate breaths slowly subside as nature clothes me as her own, with sounds of life, fears now overgrown, by waters tumbling swell and churn amongst the wisdom of the whispering fern. Slow humming of my favourite song, I hear my sanity calmly return. And if I may, there's just one other that I'd like to share with you, and it's called Bittersweet. And if our emotions could talk to us, what would they say? Well, I sat beside my misery today and I listened to what she had to say. She told me how she felt dejected, ignored, cast out, always rejected. She told me she was very sad, that loss and heartache held her back, that no one loved her and she was alone. Her brown eyes filled with yearning sorrow. She said she'd feel the same tomorrow. I sat beside her in despair, to see my own sad self-reflection there, to know this truth is always inside me, and yet my heart keeps beating daily. I wanted so much to fix her hurting, but knew no way to guide her healing. I gently warmed Misery's hand in mine. I said, you'll understand in time that every person has a misery, struggling inside to be set free. But the best way to live in peace is not to ignore that lonely place. It's to give your misery a kind embrace, to wipe the tears from her sweet face, to say how much she means to you. Her heartache makes me live more fully, and promise you will keep her close and love her always unconditionally. Not so sad then to be beyond repair. You are more than your scars and melancholy. With acceptance, there's hope in the air, and a seat beside me always for my misery. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. All right, final reader tonight. I'm going to do one more after, but final reader. Welcome, Diane.
Good afternoon, evening, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Finn, for this platform. I am going to read one piece that's mine and one piece that's someone else. We are celebrating Asian American Pacific Islander Month, and in that spirit, I'm going to read Maureen Medina, My Fears Out Loud. It is published by Red or Green Books, Albuquerque, New Mexico. The publisher is Marissa Prada. And I picked a nature piece, Dancing in the Rain. My mom never let me dance in the rain. She was told that anything could kill me because of my heart. As I got older, I feared the rain and many other things. One day I closed my umbrella, put my things in a dry place, ran out into the rain and danced in it. The cold drops shocked my body, awakening my sense of wonder. I bathed in my liberation. Then I ran to dry up in case it was true. But I didn't die. Instead, I lived. Then it occurred to me, what else was my mother told? What else was I told that simply was not true? I danced in the rain. There I found the question. That's Maureen P. Medina, My Fears Out Loud. Now I'm going to read my piece, which I read several months ago here, but because it is Asian Pacific Islander recognition, I'm going to read it quickly. It's called Cranes and I Jazz Dance. She moved with a grace reminding me of water. She had a mountainous spirit. She moved with grace, explaining how my hand has a natural curve, my waist follows a stream, and my feet plant as they must. She had a mountainous spirit. Then she mentioned her birthplace. She only mentioned it once. That's all I needed because I hadn't known of these places in America. I hadn't met anyone born in a detainee center in California because of their heritage. I already appear as if I could anticipate enslavement, could be enslaved again, for I am Black and don't outwardly appear as any other, which would only compound my enslavement pool-worthy reasonings for some Americans. Her birth circumstance needs to pain America and not forgotten like the birth pains mothers forgive when bringing their bloodlines into this life form. But these are birthing pains to remember, her mother's fears of what could have happened to her baby. Will she be taken from me? I thought she may have pondered. The agony of every plantation-raped Black woman on so many continents. But oh, here? The loss of freedom to birth my dance teacher in peace, surrounded by a different kind of love. The baby in a stable of confinement being born in the camp of her lookalikes, her kind. In this country, a similar war strategy against us hewed. What? Included my teacher? I hope I made her proud as I included American Sign Language with movement by teaching choreography, my public performances and solos. My teacher, her daughter named Miwa, was just a little girl back then, watched us explore dance. I have thought of you, my wonderful teacher, born in a concentration camp in America. We danced, and she taught me through her beautiful non-round eyes. The air moved out of her way as she reminded me of water gently carving through mountains of distrust and racist fears. She saw beautiful strength within my small frame to move others in movement, and so I write this as a Tsuru Tondu. She remains in my heart to this day. Cranes and I don't need shoes to dance on shores surrounded by pebbles that were once mountains that water lapped through time. Her mother held her in her lap and swathed her softly, maintaining her life in an American concentration camp. Her non-round eyes must have momentarily widened, then settled into her natural beauty. Her grace and mountainous spirit found dancing years later with a then neophyte who now folds cranes with these same hands whose natural curves dance slower while deliberately make not straight creased but jazzy fashioned cranes in her honor. Thank you.
Bravo, bravo. Thank you very much, Diane. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. What another fabulous night that was. I thank you all for coming. Thank you for making me feel much better tonight. Thank you for almost human again tonight. Thank you to all our readers. Thank you to some audience who have come back from Caroline and Carol and Gregory and Catrice, who was here earlier on. I'm going to finish. I was lounging about today, watching a movie, and I wrote this acrostic poem. And I don't know if you'll guess who it's about anyway, but the poem's called The Elephant and the Dove. So close that both were one, the rising and the setting sun, the one who knew how to turn pain into art, and one who loved her from the very start. Sapurana, she's inside you now. You can smell the flowers on her brow. The shadow of the streetcar crash stayed with you forever. Never easing up, losing one child. The move to Gringo land, even for all the right reasons, was never enough. And all the border is just a line. The time it takes you to realize you've wasted so much time. Body worn, mind strong, yet torn. Bring me my dead, bring me my book. I need to know where to look for what goes wrong. And paint the chicken and the egg and the chicken. Without one, the other will be broken. Separate homes, connected. Separate lives, disconnected. She was the rope around a bomb, carrying death upon your back, waiting to see if the skull smiles at you, shaking hands with yourself. Mementos in the closed bathroom, 50 years since viewed, leaving through an imaginary door, created by my finger. I've been, I've seen. No longer will the dove linger. White flower, the hour has come. And that was, in case you didn't guess, that was about Frida Kahlo and Diego. That's their story. It's a wonderful film I watched called Frida Vida La Vida. It was a beautiful documentary. Thank you all for coming anyway. Thank you. And we're going to see you again in a month's time when we have the fantastic and lovely Damien D. Donnelly, the host of Eat the Storms podcast, as our feature point. And that's going to be something special. I don't think he's ever featured anywhere before, but I like to do it, new folk. Thank you all for coming. Thanks for making me feel much better.
Thanks, great to see you all.
Finn.
Thank you, Finn.
Finn, can I ask a quick question? When do the feature poets feature? Is it the beginning or the middle? I can't remember.
It's usually middle-ish.
Middle-ish, okay.
It depends who it is, what time they want to be on, but it's usually about the middle. So
okay. So I don't
okay.
want to miss Damien.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So bye.
Bye bye.
Night, everyone. Night.
Bye, everyone.